Super Dark Times is the movie that you get when you cross Donnie Darko and Stand By Me, as many have pointed out. The movie deals with a group of friends who are your average high schoolers, and by the end of it, all hell breaks loose and it turns into a horror movie. The movie picks up on what seems to be your average day of hanging out in the woods, turned into a CSI episode when one of the friends, Josh, accidentally, if you will, kills the other friend with a katana, and the friends scramble to figure out what to do with the body as well as the katana used. This ultimately creates the tension we see throughout the movie that ultimately explodes in the last 15 minutes of the film. I say ultimately a lot. This movie has Zach and Josh, our main protagonists, also subtly fighting over the affection of Allison. This, on top of the murder that Josh may or may not have accidentally committed and Zach witnessed as well, is what drives in the title Super Dark Times. So by the end of the movie, we see Josh is now unhinged and he could actually be a complete psycho. As we see Zach start to piece together the katana missing, the new marks on Daryl's body, and John now turning up dead after the meeting with Josh to buy weed, we start noticing Zach's psyche is also depleting. We finally find out that Josh was in fact the one to retrieve the katana, which he now will be using as he makes his way to meet up with Kate and Allison. Zach, realizing this after going into Josh's house and finding that he has been calling Allison numerous times, he runs to the house after finding about the meeting and what he believes Josh is capable of now. Once in the house, he finds Kate's slain body and Allison tied up in what looks to be almost a decapitation for her. Ultimately, the two have a face-off and the cops come to arrest Josh, and Zach's fate is left unanswered. We do, however, see Allison seemingly back to her normal routine after months at school and notice the scars left on her neck. So what does this all mean? Well, there are several interpretations, but the directors have gone on to say that this all means is that she is now left with the scars of what happened. Our two protagonists went through hell and she was just a bystander and ultimately suffered with them as well. This wasn't necessarily her own story, but she still played a crucial part of it. Now we see where her life has gone on from it. This is the most well accepted ending, as even the director himself has agreed with it. There is, however, a much more weirder and darker explanation floating around there as to why the movie actually finishes with Allison. And this is one of those theories that are just so crazy to be true, but it actually has some weight to it. This theory suggests that Allison was in fact in on all of the killings that Josh did and was actually the mastermind behind it all. Even the final act with Kate being slain and herself being a victim. See, this all starts from the beginning of the movie where we see our first character ever be introduced to the movie is actually Allison, witnessing a deer about to be killed. The next time we see Allison, she is in Zach's house after Daryl's death, almost being fascinated at Zach's injured hand and also how vulnerable he is. We start to notice Allison is there as well during the talk with John and Josh. They're trying to set up a drug exchange, and ultimately John is found dead after that. This is when we really start seeing more of Allison in the movie on this last half of the movie. And we end up seeing her at the end when Josh comes over with the katana, and if you want to look out for facial cues, there's a lot that she does. And a lot of them are actually pretty subtle and they could actually just fly by, but when you go back to look at it, there are a couple that Josh and Allison share. This all seems to indicate that both Allison and Josh have set up Kate to be killed. This theory basically suggests that Allison was always deranged like Josh and the two worked together to commit the murders, as Allison used the power of knowing that Josh had something for her to pretty much use him as the muscle. Now, this is pretty outlandish for me, like this theory, and I know that some people really stand by it, but I just can't see myself like really grasping this whole situation and seeing Allison and Josh have been working together all this time and nobody have noticed. I still will like to say that I am more on the director's side of things and that this is more of a perception of how different people are affected by our lives and we might not even notice it, but they still have a story to tell. What do you think of Super Dark Times though? Is it a story of how bystanders get caught up in others' dark times? Or is it a story about two teenagers who secretly plot some katana killings? Let me know in the comments below, I'd like to know. But anyways, make sure you don't forget to subscribe to my channel. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Make sure you share, make sure you comment, and as always my friends, stay positive.